You want what kind of juice? Yes, they have a Starbucks, but, huh? Latte caramel what? Just text it to me. Okay, okay. Love you. Oh, hey there. Sorry, I had to go to the store for my wife. Now she wants some concoction from Starbucks. Whatever happened to coffee? I know. People want and sometimes need something a little different to satisfy that coffee craving. I understand. The same thing happens in my classroom. It's called differentiation. Same lesson, just prepared in various ways to address the various needs of my students. Some need lattes, some macchiatos, some coffee, even cappuccinos. We created a 3-part series that looks at ways to differentiate instruction. We have created videos that explain using data, learning styles, and skill levels to differentiate instruction. This is just the introduction, and data differentiation is first, so stay tuned. Please feel free to leave your comments and questions below, and don't forget to join the discussion. Oh, sorry. Gotta go get that latte. See you next time. Computers are amazing. When an issue arises, a push of a button, and in nanoseconds, the computer has run analysis, identified the source, cause, and correction of the problem. I wish my brain worked like that. Actually, our brains can work like that. Maybe just not as fast. When we differentiate instruction using data points, it's the same process. As educators, we provide assessments, identify student issues. Preaching to the choir, right? Well, for new teachers, this process may not be so cut and dry. But take a look. Differentiated instruction. We want to look at differentiation using data points. What's the purpose? We want to clarify some terminology, highlight some benefits, explain the sample process, and highlight some keys to remember. So what is differentiated instruction? The altering of instruction to meet individual needs of students. Same lesson plan elements, but we're possibly addressing process or cognitive issues that could be overlooked in generic whole group, guided, or independent practice. So what data points can be used? We can use standardized tests, pre and post tests, teacher-generated exams. The teacher has the autonomy. What is it that they're trying to address with their students? For the sample, we're going to utilize standardized test results. So we've done step 1, identify the data set. Step 2 is imperative. It's probably one of the most important steps. We want to analyze student data. If done correctly, we can identify an error and correct it so that students can have future success. If done incorrectly, basically we're giving a chickenpox vaccine for the flu, doing all this work for nothing, and it's not going to address the issue. So step 2 is imperative. Step 3, we want to identify the most common errors made by students. So we look at the standardized test results, and we're looking for that number 1 question or standard that students missed on the test. Step 4, we want to analyze students' responses for the common error. So in this example, it's a math standardized test, and for this standard that the majority of my students missed, it's a math problem. So we look at the answers that students provided. 12 of my students selected A. A indicates that students didn't carry their remainder properly. Okay? 6 of my students selected C. The answer for C would give the indication that students didn't multiply correctly. Okay? And then 6 of my students didn't answer. You're going to have some that guessed, so you're going to have a level of trust with your students so that in preparation for your mini lessons, you can ask the students, how many of you guessed? So then you can put them in the category of students that didn't answer. Then you're going to create an objective for the lesson based on the data set. Create mini lessons to address each erroneous approach. So I have a mini lesson for my students who miscarried their remainder, one for my students who didn't multiply correctly, and one for my students who didn't attempt or who guessed. The group that guessed or didn't attempt, their mini lesson needs to start with a sample problem so that they can walk through it so you can identify their error. You may find that they fall in one of the other two groups, or you may find that they have a different error altogether. Then you determine student groupings based on errors identified, implement the lesson, administer a follow-up assessment, evaluate student performance, and reflect on teacher performance. Some keys to remember. Analysis and planning are imperative. Very, very imperative. Differentiation helps to break the monotony of whole group and independent instruction. Also, here's the opportunity for you as the teacher to be as creative as possible. You're creating multiple mini lessons, so use your creativity to address the needs of the students. This is not done for every lesson. However, through the course of the year, if you conduct differentiation on a pretty regular basis, at the end of the year, you have a collection of mini lessons that can be utilized the following year, and you can keep adding to that toolbox. And that's differentiation using data points in a nutshell. With some heavy lifting at the start, educators can build student efficacy and skill sets that can have major impacts throughout the year. We hope this helps. Data differentiation is only one way to approach differentiated instruction. Stay tuned for more parts to this series. Please feel free to leave your comments and questions below. And don't forget to join the discussion. See you next time.